Major Tom's on what grounds control? Major Tom's on what grounds control? On what grounds podcast?
Woo! All right, we are
on?
rolling. Care to lead us in, my darling?
Well, good morning, or what time is it? Oh, it's 11 o'clock, so yeah, good morning. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, my darling.
Good morning, all of our vast amounts of listeners. Good morning to you all. How's everybody doing? We're doing great, thank you for asking. We just finally finished up Moonage Daydream.
Yes, we did.
And I think we need to talk about David Bowie today.
I think that's a good idea, dear.
Yeah.
Would you care to start us off? Maybe let's start with the movie itself.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the movie?
Okay, so I entered in on watching that, knowing full well that from reviews, there were reviews saying that, oh, it was all over the place, or, people seem to be confused by it, or, just like the reviews didn't seem to be like that over the top good. But that's reviews for you. Me, personally, I was treated to 2 hours and 14 minutes of David Bowie. So if you're a fan, if you're any kind of remote diehard fan for Bowie, that was a treat. And honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the massive, it was like a collage. It was a humongous 2 hour plus collage, amalgamation of his entire, not only his entire career, but even going back before, into his childhood a little bit, and they touched, briefly a little bit about, his family life and everything. Nothing too deep. It was more about his musical and movie career and stage and all that. And I thought it was awesome. I thought that the way that they presented it was nothing less than what Bowie would have expected, because Bowie himself was a chameleon of sorts. No, he changed his colors, so to speak, so much throughout the years and throughout the decades. We saw him dressed and appear in so many different forms. So why not have a movie that documents him in a similar form? Just all over the place, colorful, and bluntly speaking, if a person decided they wanted to do or dabble some kind of illegal substances and watch the movie, all the better. I can only assume. I wouldn't know from personal experience. But it just, it left me with a good feeling and everything, beginning to end. I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, if you're a fan, I'd highly suggest watching it. No, it kind of puts me in the mood for, watching again Man That Fell to Earth. I enjoyed it. It was definitely different, a different film, and despite being such a huge fan that I am, I'm surprised in myself that I haven't watched more of his films.
Yep.
More of his movies, and got to work on that.
We definitely can.
And even when it comes to his music, despite being a huge fan of his music, there's plenty of his music that I haven't even listened to.
That was something I was even thinking about today, too. It's like, you know what? I think maybe we need to do a deep dive.
Absolutely.
Because me personally, when it comes to somebody being, like, iconic, like, take somebody like Jimi Hendrix. Mm-hmm. Like, or like even like the Doors, going back to like, really good, like defining like moments in like culture, like, or pop culture, rock culture, what have you. I've never been a fan of best of albums because I don't like people telling me like this is why they're important. I would rather like go in and find out for myself. It's like, okay, this is what people listen to at this moment in time. People didn't have a greatest hits album. They had Diamond Dogs. They had, Ziggy Stardust. Like even like going back to Jimi Hendrix, like, it's like I like Jimi Hendrix because I've heard Electric Ladyland. It's like, I've heard that album, and it's like there are songs that I love on that record that, you'll never hear on a greatest hits album.
Speaking of Jimmy, I remember as a teenager I started to finally dabble in listening to Jimi Hendrix's music, and bear in mind, again, he was another performer that my mom was like, so much drugs and everything, highly discouraged me listening to his stuff, but you know what, I fucking did it. My choice. And I remember Third Stone from the Sun was actually a song that I had a love-hate thing for, because I enjoyed the artistry of it, but that song creeped me the fuck
Oh, the low voices,
out.
all the...
Yeah.
Wait. Strange, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I didn't quite understand what I was listening to, and it would just end up like creeping me out. So I would just kind of skip over that one for the most part. And I think the next song on whatever album I had was either Fire was before or after that. I want to say it was after it.
I think so. I think it was Third Stone, then Foxy Lady, and then Fire.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Wasn't it the Yellow Album? Yellow Album, and it's like purpley psychedelic.
Yeah. Are You Experienced?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That one.
And of course, every time you bring up Third Stone from the Sun, I always have to bring up how Right Said Fred ripped off that melody.
Which, speaking of rip-offs. They're gonna start barking probably in a second. I have no idea who that is. Somebody's just pulled in. Yeah, I don't know who it is. So
get ready for some barking,
yeah, there might
ladies
be some
and
barking
gents.
in a second. Let's see. Anything? Wait a minute. Hey, babe. Nailed it. Just watch out because this foot kind of raised the cord. Woo. Okay.
Yeah, don't pull on the cord.
Yeah, going back to rip-offs. But you know what? If Right Said Fred, if they got their permissions and everything, that's awesome. And if not, well, we all know now. Anyways.
I think these people might be here for us.
Oh, can you pause it for a second?
Yep. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back.
Okay, so rip-offs. We're talking about Jimi Hendrix and Right Said Fred and all of that, and it just had me quickly thinking about,
right.
You heard about Ed Sheeran and how he actually won the case for his song, because the family or the daughter of Marvin Gaye had sued him, I think it was, because they felt, the daughter felt that the song Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, that the music was way too close to home or a rip-off of one of Ed Sheeran's songs. I don't know. If you heard Ed Sheeran's song, then you would
familiar.
know. Yeah. So he won the case.
Good for him.
I don't know the details on it or anything, but I mean, like, I have mixed feelings on it because I know the song, Ed Sheeran's song, excuse me. And if I listen to it, I can definitely see where Let's Get It On definitely plays into it and everything. So, no, I don't understand why he won it.
You know what I could say is, if Led Zeppelin can win that case over Stairway to Heaven, I don't see why Ed Sheeran couldn't win his case too.
Fair enough. Very good point. And I mean, I still can't get over how Vanilla Ice had ever gotten away with, the song that we all know, obviously. And the song that we all feel it very closely copies. Almost too closely copies. Very closely copies. But according to Vanilla Ice, oh no, mine goes, and he does a different one. So it's like, no, dude, you're lying.
There's an extra beat.
An extra beat, my ass.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like Queen's Under Pressure. Come on. I wasn't born yesterday. You're not going to pull that one over on me. But he's gotten away with it. It just annoys me.
I mean,
it's like own it. Just own it. You know.
But I do like the idea though of using pre-existing work for the sake of creativity in some form. Not to say that somebody should make millions of dollars off of another person's work.
They've been doing that for quite some time in the hip-hop world. It's called sampling.
Yeah. Like, I do like the idea of sampling. Even, like, movie quotes, like industrial bands in the 90s, like did that all the time, like Ministry, it's alright, from Apocalypse Now, and it's like, I almost like, because that's I really definitely wanted to do a lot of stuff like that with music, but it's like, it's copyrighted material, so now it's like, okay, can't do that.
You had me thinking about, it was either a TikTok or a Facebook reel that I came across the other day, and I fucking love it. It was this Facebook reel having to do with if you're at a wedding, and just like the context is if you're DJing at a wedding and the wedding the bride and groom are Star Wars fans, and so you have like this like traditional like hip hop song playing and everything. I don't even remember what it was, but then like the DJ like spins it up and he does the Star Wars, was it the Imperial March theme along with it, and he blended it perfectly. And then you just have him like painting around, jamming to it and everything, because it was actually a very tasty beat. And I'll have to find it and share it with you. You'll see what I mean. But I mean, I do get it. There's sampling and there's stuff out there that as long as you're giving the, as long as you're giving props to the original, maker of said music, by all means, you're getting your permissions and everything. But when you're doing something and it's so fucking close, if not identical, to something that's made before, and it's absolutely obvious, and you're claiming it as your own and you're denying it, then you're stealing. That's just how I feel. I just feel that it's not fucking right. And we are going to eventually come back around to Bowie again, because because this is the Bowie episode.
We're starting with Bowie, at least. It doesn't all have to be Bowie, but we'll definitely talk more about Bowie.
No, we're not by any means done with Bowie. No, we're just giving him a little break for a second, because you had to go and bring up Jimi Hendrix, and it just stemmed from there. Yeah. But that's okay. Actually, after we were talking about Bowie, did it go straight over to Jimmy, or did it go to somebody else for a second? Is it my fault or is it your fault? Who should be accused here?
I don't know. We'll have to look back. Can you bring up that reel, Jamie? Bring it back.
Anywho.
But you know what? How about we go back to Bowie now? In general, like, you know what? How about we even start with this? What is your first experience with David Bowie? We might even have the same answer to that, but what was your very first like introduction to like, hey, this is David Bowie? My mom was always a huge fan of, remember like BMG and Columbia House, get 12 CDs or 20 tapes for a penny, that kind of shit. Well, before all of that, they also had Columbia House with their record club. And growing up, my mom was a part of Columbia House. And I remember like the monthly, I still remember specific albums that she would get monthly and what they were. And one of them was David Bowie's Modern Love album. That's where I was introduced to David Bowie. And that album came out in 83? So I was all of 5 years old. And I just remember seeing his face on the cover and listening to Modern Love, listening to Let's Dance, listening to China Girl, and loving all of it. You mean Let's Dance?
What did I say?
You said the Modern Love album.
I thought that album was.
Well, I thought Let's Dance was Let's Dance, because he's got the boxing gloves, right?
Well, it's not Let's Box.
No,
I'm just being an asshole. Yeah. I thought for some I'm having a brain fart.
Modern Love is on it. I know that, but it's.
I don't know why I was thinking that the name of the album is Modern Love. Huh? Jamie, you want to pull that up?
Tell you what, do you want me to look it up right now?
Yeah, look it up right now. But either way, that was my introduction to him, and Mom played that album a lot. And so it really took nothing for me to, I just remember as a child just feeling cozy with his music, feeling cozy with, like, I felt comforted with his voice. I loved his voice even as a child. And it just stemmed from there. Then, let's Wow,
Let's Dance.
I stand corrected. It's Let's Dance.
Yeah.
I should have actually stuck with that to begin with and said the Let's Dance album, because everybody would be like, "Oh yeah, we know what she's talking about. Modern Love. Am I missing something? I never heard of a Modern Love album."
For the record,
but anyhow.
Yep, and for the record, to say this, we are not musical historians, so if there are any like die-hard like start to finish like David Bowie connoisseurs, you're not going to get the like, oh, I think his Berlin period was a huge turning point. Like, we apologize, you're not going to get that from us, but
No,
you're going to get hopefully some entertaining banter about David Bowie.
Entertaining banter, and I mean, like just like the surface level, surface level Bowie. Let's just take it easy and just like go with like what we know. Doesn't have to be anything, like remember his live album back in '77? No, I don't know. I honestly even like with I want to keep on calling it Glass Onion Tour. It's Glass Spider.
Yeah.
Glass Onion was a Beatles song, and I want to keep on calling it that. But I don't know anything about that tour. I just know that it keeps on being brought up all the time.
Yeah.
But I really, despite being a very, very amorous of the music that I know of, that I've listened to of his stuff, I don't know every single last, minute and second of every single album. I don't own every single thing of his. No, I'd love to.
I do know about the Glass Spider tour, and I do like that song, but like it was just like, it was so ridiculously like over the top. Like his entrance, they're lowering him down in a chair, and he's like talking on the phone, and there's like people walking around on crutches looking all creepy, and like I think like Peter Frampton played for him on guitar, like, and he like bursts through a hole, and he's like, "Hey, look at me, I'm Peter Frampton." And I guess like a lot of critics like criticized him of being like too like over the top and too much of a spectacle. And I think in response to that, that's when he started like Tin Machine, like as like doing something a little more stripped down. But people also, I guess, credit him because like artists like Madonna and Lady Gaga, I mean, that their shows are this big giant spectacle, and
so
a lot
they were inspired by him, perhaps.
Yeah, and like a lot of people say that like those artists were inspired by him because he was kind of one of the ones that did it first, just like this over the top, hey, look how much money I have, basically. And again, you know what?
Stop it, you guys, calm
Sammy,
down.
Winnie.
No.
What was it?
But anyways, like just going back to your original question of what was my introduction with him, it would be the Let's Dance album and of course Labyrinth. Those were my two introductions to him, and then it just went on from there. So that was mine. What about yours?
Bringing up Labyrinth, we'll definitely talk about Labyrinth. We'll definitely, because honestly, I'll have to look it up. Can we look that up, Jamie? It was either the Labyrinth or it was the Snowman. You remember that animated movie?
Oh, yeah.
And super sad ending. And now that I'm older, here I am, fucking tearing up at the very end because the music's so fucking somber. But I didn't even find out until you and I watched that together again, because you didn't grow up with the Snowman. But like I didn't even realize it until I was an adult. But the man introducing it at the beginning, he opens the drawer, and he pulls up the scarf. He was a real snowman. It's like I'm sitting there like, oh my god, that was David Bowie. So technically that was my first. I mean, I got to look out which came out first, Labyrinth or the Snowman. I think
the Snowman. I think
it was.
The Snowman was like super early '80s, and Labyrinth was '86. I think.
Let me see. Can we look that up, Jamie?
Yes. Which one are you looking up right now?
I'm looking up the Snowman.
Okay, then I'll look up Labyrinth, and we'll meet in the middle.
The Snow.
86.
All right, so Snowman was 82.
There you go.
So that was my introduction to David Bowie.
I feel like 82, I feel like that was like right around the tail end or somewhere around his Thin White Duke era, right? Because Thin White Duke was like late 70s, early 80s, and then he morphed over to Let's Dance, where he was still, platinum blonde at that point, but he was moving on to something else.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was
Labyrinth.
my introduction to Bowie. Never even pieced it together that guy was the Goblin King.
Me neither. Well, me neither when it comes to, I didn't realize for quite some time that the Let's Dance David Bowie album was Jareth.
Yeah.
I had a problem, but also, I mean, we were young, you know, so, and plus he's also in makeup and his eyebrows are up to here and his hair is spiked out to there, and when you're a child it's kind of hard to, like, you know, differentiate a person in their natural form, so to speak, versus all made up and in makeup and stuff. So.
He really is iconic in that movie, isn't he?
Fuck yeah, he is. And those pants, yeah. They left nothing to the imagination, as it should be.
And I know I talked to you about this last night. I'll bring this up again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're young and you're like learning word association for the first time, like, you know, like going to Star Wars, like Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader's a bad guy. Like, Darth Vader was my first bad guy, like an association with a word or a
Darth Vader
phrase.
scared the shit out of me as a kid.
It's like, ooh, Luke Skywalker is a good guy. Darth Vader is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And like seeing Labyrinth, it's like, oh, Jareth is a rock star. The Goblin King is a rock star. You know, like I had that association. It can't even talk right now. Association.
You're just really excited talking about Bowie.
Because then I ended up seeing like a concert after, like concert footage after the movie. It's like, oh, that's that same guy. He does that all the time, you know. And so that was definitely that for me. Yeah. What else? What else could you say about the Goblin King?
I got a tattoo of him on my leg.
Yes, you do.
You dressed up as him for Halloween one year.
Yeah,
and
and
that was amazing.
I don't think I had ever gotten so many likes from women on Facebook so quickly.
You don't say, gee, gosh, gee,
I will say this.
I'm
not naming any names in our friends, but I will say that a lot of our friends in our circle who are women, you know, seem to glow a little bit when I was in front of them.
Oh, you had a missed call.
I was just whatever.
That we glow.
It was just kind of like a hi. How are you, Pete? And you do. It's like yep. Like I'm like your childhood dream, like manifested.
Mm-hmm. I just needed to dress up as. There is still a part of me that kind of wishes that I had dressed up as Sarah, like in her big ball gown and everything, because that would have made us like an awesome couple, and we could have just like danced around.
Your Aladdin Sane costume though was pretty epic though.
It was the chunkiest Aladdin Sane ever did see. But you know what? I still had a fucking fun time wearing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, babe. It was, and yeah, to clarify, we both went as David Bowie that year. Just different.
That was great.
Yeah.
I kind of miss doing those Halloweens.
Hello there. I'm 1976 David Bowie.
That was funny as hell last
We'll
night.
bring that up. If you've never watched it, right now go to YouTube and look up Flight of the Conchords David Bowie. And if you love David Bowie, you'll laugh your ass off. Hello there. I'm 1976 David Bowie. You see him again. Hello there. I'm 1986 David Bowie from the Labyrinth movie. Yeah. So good. So funny. Yeah.
But something that I mentioned to you before, babe, like while we were watching Moonage Daydream, and there were like brief little clips of like interviews and stuff with him in the past, what I mentioned to you about how I just love and appreciate, like every time that man opened his mouth, there was always something seemingly very intelligent that came out of it. He just always seemed to be so, like, at least linguistically, at least with his grammar, so well put together. You know, everything that he said and formulated, everything just sounded so damn good.
Yeah.
He's very articulate.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I could listen to him, like if he ever, I wonder if there's any audiobooks. I wonder if he ever did any audiobooks.
I know he did Peter and the Wolf, that narration for Disney. Have you ever watched? Like it's an audio recording. I don't.
Sammy just popped his head up and looked at me, like when I went when I do that, his ears just kind of pop out. Watch his face for a second when I do that. Watch his face.
Oh, Sammy.
And then his ears just kind of fan out. Everything's okay, Sammy Sam. It's okay. Mama's just being silly. Mm-hmm. And he's just looking at you like, oh, okay, all right, I'll just rest here and be all right. But yeah, audiobooks. Imagine if he ever, like, I would read all of Lord of the Rings through audiobook easily if he had ever.
Let's find that out right now. Can we look it up, JB? Can we look it up?
Because listening to him for hours on end, just listening to his voice, telling me bedtime stories and stuff, I'd be okay with that. Moment of silence.
So I'm not seeing yet. I mean, this might take a little bit more of a deep dive. Mm-hmm. I'm not finding audiobooks spoken by David Bowie. I'm finding audiobooks about David Bowie.
Yeah.
But I did find, having said that, I did find what looks like to be a children's book about David Bowie.
Yeah, because you mentioned Peter and the Wolf.
No, Pequeña and Grande.
Oh.
But look at that little cartoon.
That's cute. Buy it for me.
Bag for me with your bags of money.
Yeah.
That's all I am to you, isn't it? Just a big old bag of cash, aren't I?
You're a tree with bills dangling off of it.
That's all you do is take.
You can go, I'm just a bill.
All right.
And back in the day, it would be sitting on Buckley Hill. But no more.
Yeah.
Anywho, all right, back to Serious Town with Bowie.
My thoughts on the movie.
Please.
I guess I could understand where people may have been like, "Oh, it's so hodgepodgey," you know. I think if he saw it, I think he would have loved it. Mm-hmm. Like, and honestly, there's an interview in that movie where he talks about being able to explore creativity and not necessarily being worried about whether or not it's going to be a success. And I got that from the movie itself, that it's like, hey, we're going to do it this way, and we are really not concerned if we're going to win any awards with this. Like, It's just, let's do something that we think that Bowie would have loved, and I think he would have loved it. And, you know, he himself, not everything that he did was a complete success, but that's kind of what made him so awesome, is that he was always willing to try new things and work with new people. Yeah. And me also as a musician, I mean, that's a way that I would like to try, and I'll always think that it's like, it's not about being a star, it's just about, it's like, you know,
self-expression.
Yeah, like you in the end of the day, you really got to do it for you. Honestly, I think your music will be better if you remove that whole, you know, music shouldn't be I need to escape my mundane life and make tons of money. It's like, if you do the music for the sake of doing the music itself, you know, then your music will sound better for it. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I feel like he always did that. Like, if ever, like, he ever felt like he was getting uninspired with something, like, he would be the first one to pull the plug and say, I gotta do something new. Mm-hmm. And I think that's definitely happened, you know. I mean, even with, like, you know, he needed to do something new with, and then he, you know, the whole Berlin thing.
Can you refresh my memory as to, like, was the whole Berlin thing with Iggy Pop? Was that?
Like, and again, don't quote me on it. I would need the info. Can we look it up, Jamie? But I mean, I know, I'm sure people are going to be pissed off at me if I get my shit wrong. But, because I want to say that was around...
It's just one of those days. It's because I cracked the windows open because we want fresh air. But by cracking the windows open, they're going to hear even more out there. So they're going to be even more barky than usual. Calm down. It's just a car. See, it's okay. It's just a neighbor. It's okay. You're okay.
Oh,
Sammy Sam. Calm down. Okay. So, anywho.
I want to say, like Bowie needed to get clean. Mm-hmm. Iggy Pop needed to get clean too. Mm-hmm. And then they got out of there and they moved to Paris. And then it was around that time, like, him venturing into something new, like, helped him with his sobriety, I want to say. And again, I would need to have it in front of me. Like, don't quote me on all of it, but I know it all happened around the same time.
So did they go to Berlin first and then they went to Paris?
No, it's you know what?
Versa?
All right,
We need to know.
all right. Let's bring it up.
This one down.
We're gonna look it up.
Come on, Jamie.
Can we look it up, Jamie? Can we
look it up, Jamie?
Let me see. Care to share a little anecdote while I'm looking this up? Or a little fun with Sammy Sam because he's pattering around on the floor.
Yeah, well, Sammy Sam's just being Sammy Sam. Just being a smushy boggle. Have we ever mentioned that before to our listeners? That we believe that Sammy is a boggle, a beagle, and a boxer mix? Like looking at his eyes and looking at like he has a shorter snout, but not as short as a boxer. But it's not as long as a beagle's either. But definitely he's got boxer eyes. And these big, sad eyes. And means that he gets away with anything and everything. He gets spoiled. Right, Sammy Sam? So, it's going to be fun when they go outside later and just play in the sunshine and just, you can go outside and toast your wiener. Yes, you can. And just roll around in the grass. Right? And plus also he's got more of the jowls of a boxer versus a beagle. Beagles don't have the jowl hole just like beagles do. Right. Did you find what you're looking for?
All right, so I'm not getting a clear answer on Paris, and I don't want to take too much of a time with it, but
Sure.
I've got when did Bowie and Iggy go to Berlin?
Mm-hmm.
1976. It is perhaps this that attracted two of Berlin's most famed temporary residents, David Bowie and Iggy Pop, who decided to travel to the heroin capital of the world in late 1976 in an effort to get clean and reinvent themselves in the process.
Interesting.
So I think that's what it was, again, like him getting clean and then an opportunity to try something new.
They went to the heroin capital of the world to get clean. How does that...
Well, I guess
I'm
we
not
could say,
saying that he did heroin, but to like go to a place where there's definitely a lot of drugs going on then.
if I were
why
to
go?
make an assumption, again, I closed it, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something you could look up later. But if I were to make an assumption, if a lot of people are having problems with drugs, you could also argue that there are more services, like more clinics, more places to get clean.
Fair enough. Okay.
So, but again, I closed it out, but I could definitely relate to that. I mean,
I never heard anything about doing heroin, but I can't cancel that out. But at the
I don't think you did. But again, a place to go where there are supports, I guess.
Okay.
But I can definitely relate to exploring music as a way to like help step away from that. And again, like all the shit that I went through in episode 2 that we talked about. If you want to listen to episode 2, go and listen to it right now. Again, and it was just like as soon as like 3 months after all that, it's like I need to start a band. Like I need to start like practicing nonstop and doing tunes and that's what I needed to do at the time, and that was a huge help for me at that time, like mental health and just doing a new activity to.
If you want to talk about stuff like that when it comes to like immersing yourself, like basically pouring yourself into something to to divert your mind from whatever could be like eating at you at the moment, I can relate to that to a degree also. Like going way back to, what was it, episode 1, when, we talked about religion and all that stuff, and I was telling you about like how I was disfellowshipped not once but twice from being a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
The first time that I was disfellowshipped from that religion, I was out for like somewhere between like 6 and 9 months at the most. And it was during that time that I was out that it was some sort of like, it was like a healthy reinvention of myself. I worked crazy hours. I also went to the gym 5-6 days a week. I just kept myself super busy with myself and work. I made money and I got myself super healthy. And probably between work and gym, I was easily going at like, 70, 80 hours a week between the two. Just keeping myself busy. And even like Saturday mornings, I'd go to the gym. They had even like a little child care spot in there, people could bring their kids in and they could have somebody like me just basically babysit their kids while they worked out. And by me doing that, I wasn't paid to do the daycare services. I ended up getting a free membership at the gym for doing that.
Nice.
That was definitely a benefit. So, but yeah, either way, I just poured myself into doing a bunch of stuff. I ended up losing, I think at that point, whatever I weighed beforehand at that point, I easily lost like 60 pounds, if not more, by doing what I did. I was jogging, I would practice doing a little bit of running and then jogging and then walking. I was doing just shitloads of cardio. And if there were any eating choices that I could have done better at that point, I remember I subsisted a lot off of blueberry bagels, yogurt, a lot of water. I didn't really drink. I never really had been a huge drinker. No. But, yeah. I could have eaten better. I was barely eating. And I was working a lot. But also I was younger. And it's like when any of us are younger, if you're like 19, 20, you know, you could live off of like frickin' like chips and carbs and bagels and shit and still be the picture of health. No. But yeah, that's my story, at least like when it comes to staying busy. And now it's like, wow, that feels like a million years ago. And those 60 pounds definitely came back. And then some.
Yeah. No. I mean, back in college, I think I weighed like $190, if you could believe that. I was under 200 pounds in college.
At my lowest, when I had lost all that weight from the gym and being all healthy and shit, and running and all that, I was finally a single digit. The lowest number I've ever, I won't divulge my weight, but I definitely got myself down to a size 8. Albeit briefly, but I definitely was a size 8. And then when I came back into the religion, it crept up a little bit, but I at least maintained around a 10. And then by the time I went to Florida, it started to creep upwards. I've always found that with like me being in any kind of relationships, I always gain weight in.
Well, because we're having fun and we're going out.
But what if in theory we got a divorce and during that time,
Jesus, babe.
What if during that time that we're divorced, I lose weight and get healthy and then we remarry? That's
no?
Okay.
That's fucked up.
I know!
We're getting a divorce as a way to spice up our marriage. It's like, what?
Getting a divorce to get healthy.
Hey, in order to keep things interesting, we can always, get divorced, see other people, and then get back together. I think that's get divorced and get right back together.
Yeah, no. It would be get divorced and not see other people. It would just be like get divorced and self-care. No. I mean, we don't even have to you don't have to move out or anything like that. We just actually go through the motions of getting divorced, and then we just you go off and, do whatever, play in a band or whatever you choose to do. Me, I'll just be like, well, I'm just going to work, go to the gym and work out and just suddenly lose all of this crazy amounts of weight. And then you'll be like, hey there, baby. Want to go out on a date?
Here's the thing too is
remarry?
if we did ever get a divorce, would we have to make it official and unfriend each other on Facebook?
Ooh. Not unfriend, just maybe unfollow for a little while. Take a break and unfollow.
Because it's not official if it's not on your status.
Yeah. No. And then we put our statuses as it's complicated.
It's complicated.
Really make people wonder. Everybody is suddenly going to be like, Pete, you all right? Kristina, I haven't heard from you in a little while. You okay? I'm here for you if you need anything.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We're all good. We're just using divorce as a catalyst for our weight loss journey.
Like you said, just to spice things up. Oh, this is so dark. Let's go back to Bowie.
Let's go back to Bowie.
But Bowie makes me happy. But you know what I'll always remember is let's get sad for a second here. The day that he died, I remember it was a work day. I think it was a Tuesday. I think that because it was January 10th, 2016, and I think that was a Tuesday, and I got text messages from coworkers, and that I think before I even got out of bed, my phone's right there by my bedside, and I'm just look at my phone and I see the news on there, and I just remember before I even got out of bed, I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah, that was a huge bummer.
Huge,
I remember
huge
you sent me that text too, and I opened it before I was about to go in to work, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was. It was honestly, it was tough to work that day. It was tough for me to like wrap my mind around the idea of now we live in a world where Bowie's not alive in it.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy. People probably think that I sound like a crazy person when I say, well, you know what? That just means that Bowie is off in another. He's off on another planet. He's off in another galaxy somewhere. He's somewhere else entertaining the masses. It's their turn to enjoy him. No. I don't think it's too crazy to think of it that way when, we think that when there's people that believe in Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, there's all of these religions out there that believe in some kind of life after death, or what happens to people when they die, or where do they go, and all that stuff. I don't think it's that crazy to at least have some kind of a hope or a dream, or just at least use my imagination and just kind of like wistfully wish that he is like basically like that his soul or his spirit survives, and that it's just whisked away somewhere, and he's performing and playing Space Odyssey for some aliens on some other planet. Is that so wrong? Is that so crazy?
No.
No?
Not at all. In fact, he would probably enjoy that too.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's where he belongs.
And I will say this, because I know what we mentioned, like he has done a lot of things with class, and he even died of cancer with class. It's like, okay, I'm dying, what am I going to do? I'm going to put out one more album. And he did it, and that is a good record.
He released it on his birthday and then died 2 days later.
Yep, just long enough to hear the reviews, and everybody loved it. Like, even if you don't like Bowie, that jazz band that he has backing him up, I mean, like the drum work on that album is fantastic. That drummer, the band backing him, and like all those guys are super talented, and they're cool songs. They definitely are. And it's kind of cool to hear somebody, because I mean he's always done it for himself, but I mean the fact that he was dying, it's like, okay, now he really doesn't have anything to lose. So it's just like, like the song Black Star, it's got this weird group, in the Villa of Amen. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it turns into 80s Bowie. Yeah. Something happened on the day he died. And then it turns into 70s Bowie. I can show you how. And it's great.
We got our chameleon
awesome.
Back.
Yeah.
He went all over the place. He went all over the decades just inside of one song.
Yep. And which
is awesome.
In even that short amount of time, like, again, releasing 2 music videos for it, like, he dropped so many hints that he was dying, even though, like, he kept it pretty hidden. In fact, it didn't even come out that he was sick until he actually did die.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, even in the video, he's got, like, the buttons on his eyes, and it's kind of like, is that supposed to be reminiscent of, like, or, like, representing, like, pennies? Yeah. And just like little things like that, even in the music, like the references to death, and the last song too, I can't give everything away, kind of basically saying I can't tell you everything that's going on right now, and it's like I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I like that title too. I can't give everything away. And even like what somebody discovered like about the vinyl, because you know that like if you take the vinyl and like you put it out in the sunlight, the star turns into like all like astral, like outer spacey and stars and stuff like that. Like the cover changes in sunlight on the vinyl.
Well, I wouldn't know that because I don't have it.
Well, not yet. We'll get the vinyl eventually, but like
Hint, hint.
yeah. But yeah, no, definitely a cool record.
Yeah.
If you've never heard Black Star, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. It actually, like, aside from wanting to, like, listen to it again from beginning to end, it definitely makes me want to go and, like you said, you know, just, like, do, like, a deep dive and, you know, take a really good listen at some of his other stuff that might be a little more obscure. Now, we all, loosely speaking, we all know Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, we all know Let's Dance, we all, you know, I'm Afraid of Americans. But what about all of the other stuff that's on those albums? There could be some juicy, tasty tidbits of songs on there.
It will definitely, you know, I definitely think we should explore that and go on a little Bowie journey.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Yeah. You know, we should also talk about too, since we're on the subject of Bowie, let's talk about Sue George. Yeah. That guy. So to clarify, I highly recommend the movie Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which we finally watched together a few years ago.
I really enjoyed that.
That's a really good movie. There's an actor in the movie, Sue George, and all he does is do David Bowie songs on acoustic guitar in Portuguese, and it sounds great. And you and I had the opportunity to go and see Sue George perform Bowie songs live, and that was fun. But also, so like before that, you and I had gone on vacation, and somebody backed into your car.
That was Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
Yep. When we went to Myrtle Beach for the eclipse.
Yeah.
The solar eclipse, and on the way down at the fucking Waffle House. When you have
it's always the Waffle House.
Yep, you have somebody in a Mercedes SUV, so you know they have one of those reverse screens. All right, so they have the reverse screen, little TV screen in their car, and what do? They still fucking backed right into my driver's side door. Like, how stupid can you be? I'm not sorry for saying that. They're fucking stupid. No, like all those years of experience driving and everything. But anywho. That happened. We still went to Myrtle Beach. The door was still usable, but I could barely even like get the window down, and had to get the door replaced. So the door gets replaced, and then no sooner was that all fixed than I think all of 3 days went by at the most that I had my car back fixed, beautiful, ready to go. We're on our way to New Haven to go to the Sue George concert. And we're in a bunch of traffic, and there's a car right behind me, and they rear-ended us.
Yep.
Now I needed a new bumper.
And here we are, yep. And here we...
Fuck my life!
Yep. And here we are, in traffic, because traffic's all backed up, and we get out, and it was, oh, I'm so sorry, I've just got so much stuff on my mind.
Then don't fucking drive.
Yeah.
If you've got a lot of stuff on your mind, what the fuck are you doing? Don't be driving. Have somebody else drive for you if you can't handle it.
And then we got to the venue, and we got into the parking lot, and as soon as we're out, we're getting ready to go, a car accident happens in front of us.
Yeah.
Because there's the car in front, and then this car behind it just totally smashes into this other car's bumper, right in front of us, as we're getting out of the car.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, what is going on today?
That was kind of almost unsettling. When there's suddenly too many car accidents that are happening, whether they affect you directly or whether they're happening around you and they happen in short succession of each other, it's like, are there some powers that be out there that are saying you should be damn fucking lucky that you've walked away from all of these unscathed?
Yep.
And that you've just gotten dinged up and you've just seen somebody else's car get dinged up, but nobody's been hurt? Or is it just coincidence?
Yep.
No, we don't have to read into every single thing that happens out there, but let's face it, there seems to be some a little ironic now.
Yeah.
But
But the concert itself was amazing.
It was amazing.
And when he did Space Oddity, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
No, I definitely sat there and I needed tissue so bad. That was, that, because I still to this day view that concert experience as being like the closest that I'll ever get to experiencing Bowie live. And that's still one of my greatest regrets, is I never had the chance to see him in concert.
And that wasn't too long after he died, too, because you said that was coming back from Myrtle Beach.
And that was 2017.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it
so it
was
was about like a year after he died. Or no, give or take.
It was a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's a year and a half after he died, because Myrtle Beach was August of 2017. Azores was August of 2018.
Yeah.
You know, it was back in the day when we were taking vacations.
Yeah. Well, we will again. We will again.
Remember when we used to take vacations?
We literally did just go on a vacation. It just sucked because we got
It
COVID
sucked
while we were on
ass.
vacation.
Did we happen to talk about that on any prior episodes?
We've touched on it.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely have like talked about it, and just COVID sucks.
But but what a time to fucking get it. Our 10-year wedding anniversary, we have everything all lined up to go to Virginia Beach and take a vacation. Woo! And we go down there, and suddenly don't feel so good. Like within a day after we got there, you didn't feel so good.
Definitely felt like, my head was in the cloud. Every bone in my body hurt.
And I remember us taking like all of the COVID tests with us and everything, and I'm glad that we did. And then I remember the next morning you had taken a test, and sure enough, you're positive.
Yeah.
Not even within 24 hours, I wasn't feeling good either.
Even like walking,
walking,
like I could barely walk to the beach. Like I was winded, and honestly, like I think we may have accidentally given COVID to everybody else too.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so, because I think we did our damnedest at keeping our respective distance from
true
everybody around there. Plus also the time of year that we went pretty much towards like the off season of going there. So we weren't surrounded. We went to Virginia Beach in October. So kids are in school. The hot season, the summer season of Virginia Beach was over. The beach was empty. Everywhere we went, it was empty. It was, so I'm not, my conscience is clear on that one. No, when we were initially, like for the first initial days that we were sick, we stayed put in that hotel room, and we just got room service all the time. No, room service, and that going down that hallway and going to that soda machine. I never drank so much sweet tea in my life, but it was like one of the only things that just tasted so damn good.
Yeah.
Remember that sweet tea?
Winnie.
But anywho, I'm sure that people don't really want to hear about COVID, because I don't know about you, but I'm over it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this about COVID. It's kind of funny how Winnie, Winniper.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that COVID didn't exist. No, COVID definitely does exist. It definitely is a thing.
Of course it does. Yeah.
But people can't. And yes, people died from it. Yes, I understand all of that. No, but people also die from other things all the time. There are people out there that die from a standard flu. No, remember that whole thing called the Spanish flu of 1918? It happened.
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit about it anymore. Yeah. It's kind of become it kind of seems like it's become an inconvenience, and nobody like. You could go on social media or anything like that, and so many people arguing about whether or not you should be wearing a mask, if the vaccines work, and I felt like it was all anybody ever talked about. Now it's like nobody gives a shit about it anymore. and you could say, oh, it's because of the vaccines. Oh, no, it's not because of this. It's herd immunity, and no, it's not really. You know what? Bottom line is, it's like now here we are again, and we're not required to wear masks. We can go out again and all that, and it's like, hey, then that's fine.
Actually, I thought I heard too just recently from somewhere that like for people that work in healthcare in the state of Massachusetts, I think that they're finally like lifting a bunch of like masking laws, especially when it comes to like patients and stuff like that, in medical practices, and that's a big deal. So it's taken all of these years now to finally get to that point.
Yeah,
but that's awesome.
I mean,
you can finally see a patient's face without being covered in a stupid mask.
Yeah, because I mean, when I started at the job I'm at now, I mean, there were people that I was working with. I didn't even actually really get a chance to see their faces for like a whole year, and then we finally get to see each other, our faces, and it's like, hey, that's what you look like.
Ew! Put your mask back on. No, I'm kidding.
And then before that, I mean, one of the jobs I was working, I had to get tested every week, and I would have to drive all the way to Worcester just to do a test, and then drive all the way back. And then when I got those results, then I used that, and I could use that to scan in to work.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah.
Was that when you were working up in Worcester, or was that okay?
Yeah.
That like on those Saturdays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's also the job where I was required to get vaccinated. Basically, it's like if you're not vaccinated by this date, your services will be terminated, which is funny because I ended up leaving before that happened, but I still ended up getting vaccinated anyways.
And you still ended up getting COVID anyways.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And honestly, I don't think you and we were literally in the exact same boat. Nothing.
We were both sick, the exact amount of sickness. And I will say this for our listeners, I never got vaccinated. So you got vaccinated, I did not get vaccinated, you got sick first, I got sick afterwards, and we both had the same level, same severity of sickness. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm shrugging over here, what does that tell you?
And I will say this, it's like, yes, we are just two people, and it has affected everybody very differently. Mm-hmm. So we're just giving you our experiences with COVID.
Yeah, and I know that there's plenty of people out there that have had very much heavy-duty, shittier experiences.
Yeah, there was somebody I used to work with. They got up to me, and it was during the pandemic. He said, "Oh, my son, he got COVID." It's like, "Oh, okay. How's he doing? Is he chilling at home?" He's in a hospital fighting for his life, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So again. We're just telling you our own experiences with it.
But did those people have pre-existing conditions that would make it worse, make it a worse experience for them?
Yes.
Now, we don't have pre-existing conditions. Yeah. And so it was, for us, it was on a milder scale. No, we're not, at the retirement age. You heard the stories of this was affecting in a more severe way the elderly, retired and beyond age, or young children. It may affect them severely, but it seemed to be more of affecting older people or people with pre-existing health conditions, autoimmune conditions, anything like that. Whereas you and I, we just like a good meal, and we live and we work, and we're not old farts, and we got sick. It was like a bad case of the flu, the worst part of it, how you have 24-hour flu? We never vomited. We were never nauseous, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, we never vomited or anything like that. We definitely.
It was just fever.
Yeah.
Fever and complete lack of I had no appetite for a good 2-3 days. I feel like there was a good day and a half, maybe 2 days, where I barely ate a thing. And I remember I did lose, and I was happy about it. I lost 7 pounds while I was sick. And I was like, yay! And then gained it all back anyways. But that's just from not eating.
My tinnitus was definitely the worst I think it ever was when I had COVID. I literally felt like I was sitting next to an old TV with no channel. Just Like it was like so loud, like I couldn't even fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember like the fever just didn't seem to want to quite go away for a good couple of days. It was like 2-3 days. Fever and the body ache sucked ass. No, like we're in that nice big squishy king size hotel bed and everything, and we were just bedridden all weekend. I could not get comfortable in that damn thing because every part of me ached. No, my lower back especially, but I remember I was moaning and groaning, literally, verbally. I could not get comfortable. And honestly, the jacuzzi was a huge help. Remember how you ended up drawing the jacuzzi for me?
Yeah.
And that was a huge help, just having that thing run on me for a bit. Definitely relax the muscles. So anybody that gets COVID, jump into a jacuzzi. Maybe that'll help you.
Jacuzzi and room service cheeseburgers, which that was good.
Smash burgers?
Yes.
That's what they were. Oh, they were so good. I would go back there just for the burgers. The burgers and drinking lots and lots of sweet tea. We at least we were good with staying hydrated. I'll definitely give it that. We just drank copious amounts of liquids, and that was good.
Yeah.
Didn't really care about an appetite or eating or anything. But once we finally did start incorporating food, those burgers were where it was at. That's so good. Can you pause it for a second? Coffee's going right through.
I sure can. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. And speaking of coffee, we need to give a shout out. A friend of ours, since she actually gave us something and mentioned our podcast, we're going to give her a shout out to Foley because she gave us a cup, and it is in the photo for this week.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Foley. That was very unexpected. Get this in the mail this past week. I've already been using it, and brought it to work, and animal testing from the Beagle Freedom Project. Because she knows how much we love beagles, because she loves beagles too.
Yep.
And I really look forward to meeting Murphy.
Yes.
That's going to be we're going to have a beagle festival.
Well, we've met Murphy.
We have?
Yeah.
Why am I not remembering that?
Do you remember it was Teddy's last outing when we went and we hung out with everybody and there was the food truck.
Okay. Sorry about that, Foley.
So
okay.
we've definitely met Murphy, but
it's been a couple of years.
Winnie and Sammy have never met Murphy.
Well, that's going to be a whole new experience then.
Yep, and in fact, Foley has never met Winnie and Sammy, so that'll be
amazing.
A good experience.
Yes.
But yes, thank you, Foley, giving a shout out, and now you have to come over.
Yeah, no pressure, but you'd better come over here.
You're being called out on a podcast.
I'm gonna have to tag her in this now too.
Why not? David Bowie.
Yes.
One thing that does come to mind, there is always a joke that you and I have shared. Do we want to talk about David Bowie doesn't count?
We sure can.
David Bowie doesn't count. So we have a theory that you could apply any sort of situation or event or social thing that happens. And if you bring up, well, what about David Bowie? David Bowie doesn't count.
No.
Perfect example. Joking about, again, the stereotype of a rock star, not always acting appropriately with underage people, if you will. And then somebody said, well, what if David Bowie ever did it? Something like that. And then our joke is...
David Bowie doesn't count.
David Bowie doesn't count.
He doesn't. No.
And I know I've told you jokes about this, but it's what? I am not bisexual or anything like that or have any inclination like that. But if David Bowie invited me, I would, just for the story. And it's oh, Pete, that means you're bisexual. It's no, it was David Bowie.
You want to know why?
Because David Bowie doesn't count.
Exactly.
I'm going to say something strictly for comedy's sake. If you want me to edit this out later, we can edit this out later. But if there was ever a person or a celebrity that we could not that he ever did, but if he ever did, if there was ever a celebrity that we could forgive for wearing blackface besides Robert Downey Jr.,
Because David Bowie doesn't count.
David Bowie doesn't count. And no, we don't advocate for blackface. Do not wear blackface. And having said that, I am happy that Robert Downey Jr. got away with it.
Yeah.
But again, in the context of the movie, and again, coming back to
It was
art.
funny.
And what makes it funny is because it's wrong. It's like it's a wrong thing to do, and the actor Lazarus is clueless to it, and that's what makes it funny. It's not funny because that. And coming back to last week's podcast, if you're going to do something, make sure you do as much research as you can on it. So if you're ever going to go down that route, please look up the history of blackface and all the history that goes with it.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, but there you go. I'm glad I got a chuckle out of you because.
Yeah, that was good.
But yeah.
But actually, now you have me thinking about like Bowie's whole stint when it came to like clown costumes and stuff. Like with the clown makeup and everything. And the reason why is you had mentioned how there had been like some kind of brief like thought about him playing the Joker for Batman.
I think because I read that they originally, before the Tim Burton movie, they were going to do like a campy movie with like Bill Murray as Batman, and I think even like Eddie Murphy was supposed to play Robin.
Yeah.
And like I guess there were rumors that Bowie was going to play the Joker for that, and it just never happened.
That would have been interesting. That would have put a whole new spin on how I feel about Heath Ledger's Joker.
Mm-hmm. You see, if I were to say that a gangbanger or a truck of soldiers would blow up, nobody panics because it's all part of the plan. But if I were to mention one little old mare will die, well, everybody loses their minds. Sorry, we've seen The Dark Knight way too many times.
Yeah, and he knows exactly how to get me all riled up because I absolutely love Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah,
absolutely love him. It's a weak spot. I have a thing. What can I say? Actually, like all of the Jokers, I love all of them. And can we talk about Batman for a second?
Yeah, let's
talk about
Batman.
A little more specifically, let's talk about the Joker for a second. So, I actually started getting interested in the Joker character back in the late 80s. My dad at that time he was doing like he would clean out like estates. He would clean out like people's houses, basically like remove whatever they wanted to get rid of. And he would get all kinds of crazy shit, and if it was in good shape, he'd bring it home. And amongst those things, books. And remember how like there would be books and there would be like a cassette on the inside, so you could like play the cassette and then like read along to the book at the same time? I ended up getting one of those, a Batman, and I don't even remember like what the story or context was, if it was part of a series, I don't know. But the one book that I had the cassette along with it, and that was my introduction to the Joker. And it was like that animated, with like the big crazy smile Joker of like the 80s. And this was right before the Jack Nicholson, Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman came out. So I was already introduced to Batman at that point. And so when that movie, when the 1989 Batman came out, I was so excited for it. Well, guess what? Mom didn't let me watch that for a little while. So I had to sit tight on that until she finally let me watch it. Maybe I just needed to grow up a little bit more. I don't know exactly why. I don't know what her reasoning was. But yeah, I was super happy when they put it on the big screen with humans. Yeah. That was awesome.
I was definitely not allowed to see that movie at first too. Like it took a little bit. Like I didn't get to see it in theaters, but same thing.
Yeah.
And then of course, like being younger, like now after I had seen it, now I know why. It's like, okay, because when first seeing it, you can call me Joker, and as you can see him, and it's like it's the Joker being the Joker, and then when he just starts just shooting Jack Palance, and then it's like, ooh, that's mean. You can't kill people. And but again, murder has always been associated with the Joker.
Well, even as a child, here's my thing about the Joker character. As a child, I loved the color red and I loved the color purple. And the Joker character, well, originally was dressed in a purple suit. I actually, as a child, loved the Joker character just because of his representation, his presentation, how he was dressed, just how wild he looked. You know how you have people out there that have a fear of clowns? I am not one of those people. I absolutely fucking love clowns. I am fascinated by them. I'm fascinated with the makeup. I'm fascinated with all of that, with whatever they're wearing. I have a huge thing for them. You know, it's just a childish fascination that I have for them. That's all it boils down to. So now you have the Joker, and it's just like that facade of, like, you know, having some kind of makeup on their face. And so every Joker that's, you know, come along the way, whether it's Jack or whether it's Heath, even Joaquin Phoenix, it's like I'm fascinated with the character. It's not like I condone their violence or anything like that. I'm fascinated just like with the psychological character themselves and just how they present themselves. Their costumes are amazing.
What you're talking about right now, I have two things to say.
Okay.
Now, first, I was laughing a little bit to myself because you mentioned...
Because you want to mock me?
No, because
I'm teasing.
You mentioned like the fact that he wears purple.
Yeah. And
can we talk about Prince for a moment?
Please do.
I love that Prince songs are in the Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
And on the soundtrack, I can't remember if it was Party Man or if it was Trust. Yeah, mm-hmm. Trust, will do you? And you know, the big...
That was the one that played when he was doing the parade.
Yeah. But it was one of those songs, but like, you listen to it, you know, you listen to the song, one of the songs themselves, I can't remember which one it is, but he sampled, like, in the middle of one of the songs, Kim Basinger... Or Bassinger. I love purple.
And I was thinking of that when I was saying about my favorite colors.
And of course, like, Prince wears purple, so it's like,
mm-hmm.
It's like, of course you did. Of course you sampled. I love purple.
Mm-hmm.
How other
thing. Not love purple? That nice grapey purple. It's amazing. It's the color of the Royals.
Yeah.
But anyways,
the other thing. You mentioning, like, as far as your fascination with clowns. Now, so to let everybody at home know, last night I was talking to Kristina that Kristina has never seen the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I grew up on the movie. I love that movie. I haven't seen it forever, but you talking about now your fascination with clowns, now we have to watch that movie together because all right, picture this. Clowns... Scary clowns, scary clown doctors in a bad dream. There you go.
But is there a clown outlet?
I'm the original clown outlet. If you know, you know.
We'll save that for
another
time. But yeah. I think it just comes down to Pee-wee. I've just never been a Pee-wee fan. Even like back when he was doing like Pee-wee's Playhouse, was it? On Saturday morning cartoons. And my younger sisters, they would maybe watch some of it, but I always found I just always found it so annoying, like fingernails on a chalkboard.
I just loved it because, again, it was so over the top and so outrageous. And Lawrence Fishburne, Cowboy Curtis. Yeah. And one thing I didn't know, did you know that Cyndi Lauper sang his theme song?
That makes sense. Okay.
Though it's wacky at Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's Cyndi Lauper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the claymation that they put into it and all this stuff, like, it's, you know, and the movie's hilarious. Like, let me say this. Let's watch the movie together.
What, Big Adventure? Or
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Not Big Top Pee-wee?
No. Well, yeah, Big Top Pee-wee is not as good. But let's watch Big Adventure together. Mm-hmm. And then the next time we have a podcast after you've watched the movie, tell me that movie is not funny.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's funny. It's going to be one of those
Yeah.
that I'm going to hate to laugh while I watch it because I want to. It's like for the rest of my life, I want to convince myself that I do not like him, nor will I ever, and I will try really hard not to laugh, and I'll try to refrain from laughing, and I'll still give in and laugh, and to some level, I will end up enjoying the movie, but I will reluctantly tell you
Even
that.
the clips that I was showing you last night, you were laughing
Yes,
at that.
I was. Yes.
I say we kill him. Yeah. I say we hang him, then we kill him. Yeah. It's come on. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a Tim Burton movie, and it's a Tim Burton movie with Pee Wee Herman, and it's
Didn't he get like arrested or busted for something way back?
who?
Pee Wee?
Well,
Or was it
I
like
think
public?
twice.
Was it like public exposure?
Well, yeah.
or
I mean, that's the
something like
reason why he basically like
that? Fell from grace.
yeah. So yeah, he because again it's before the internet, so he went to a public porn theater and he jacked off and he got caught. But I also, then this one's more serious. Like sometime after that, I do believe he got caught exchanging child porn. I think. Let me look that up to be sure.
Yeah,
I could have
so maybe look that
sworn.
up.
I could have sworn like he and Terry, not Terry Jones. Terry Jones, rest in peace. Jeffrey Jones. I
yeah.
could have sworn like he may have been involved. Let me look that up real quick.
Involved in the same thing
Possibly.
at the same time, like
Let
in
me see.
cahoots. Were they in cahoots with each other?
Let me look it up. Right? Can we look it up, Jamie?
Yes, please look it up, Jamie.
This is 2022. Paul Pee Wee Rubens charged in kid porn probe. He's targeted in the same investigation under which pal Jeffrey Jones was cited for allegedly enticing a minor to pose for pornographic photos.
Yikes.
Let me just see. Sorry for the moment of silence. Moment of silence because Pee Wee's funny, but it sucks that child porn is not funny at all. And
I'm still inwardly giggling though at the whole, like what I said to you last night about like when he was shining up his bicycle and happily just like taking the bicycle down the driveway, and I'm like, oh, that's you with your car.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyhow.
Yeah. But I don't know, I could do another deep dive, but I hope that probe didn't show anything. But I think it said he turned...
Say that word one more time, babe. Probe.
Yeah.
But anywho, how can we get back to talking about Bowie? Do we have any more that we have to say or want to say about Bowie? Except for
I can.
besides for the fact that he's awesome.
One thing, and then coming back to like that as far as doing art for art's sake, I also love how, like, the range of things that he's done. Because again, he's somebody who has worked with Nine Inch Nails or, Trent Reznor and done stuff with him. But he's also done Christmas. He did that Christmas bit with Bing Crosby. So it's like his range of what he was able to do.
Yeah.
That he could be in an R-rated movie or he could be in a Jim Henson movie. And I will say this, and this is another David Bowie doesn't count thing, because here he is in Labyrinth dancing with Jennifer Connelly, and how old was she in the movie? Like 13, 14 years old?
I think she was supposed to be a 16-year-old, whether she was 16
like
in
I think
real
she was
life or not.
I think she was like fucking young in that.
Well,
like,
let me find out for you. While you're talking about it, how does he not count?
But what I mean by that is that, like, here he is dancing with an underage girl in the movie, and there's that romantic connection, or that romantic tension between the two of them.
No action was ever taken. There
No,
was nothing,
but
it
come
was
on.
just definitely insinuated. So, Labyrinth came out in 86. Jennifer Connelly was born in 1970. However, if the movie came out in 86, it was probably filmed in 85, which would have made her 15.
But I believe and what I'm saying he doesn't count is that there's definitely that romantic tension between the two of them. I mean, come on. All I ask is for you to let me rule you, and then you can have anything you want, And it's just, it's like, come on. But nobody bats an eye at it,
Neither does Winnie.
Winnie. Now, remember, one of their choices for the Goblin... Winnie, come on. Wait a moment, here they go.
Remember that...
Yeah, just wait. I would wait a little bit more.
Remember that scene in Requiem for a Dream? Sorry, I had to bring that up for a second.
Ass to ass!
Oh my god! That movie makes me want to like scrub my... I want to remove my eyeballs and dunk them in bleach. My god, that movie is such a downer.
That fucking one guy. Ass to ass!
I can't wrap my mind around that. There's a lot... You know what? You know what I have just realized? I use the term wrap my mind around because I guess there's a lot of shit in the world I can't wrap my mind around. A lot of stuff that people say and do, and a lot of experiences. Yeah. Anyways,
but
I don't feel like getting too philosophical anymore.
No. But I do got to say this though. Coming back to David Bowie,
yes.
dancing with a very young Jennifer Connelly and the romantic tension. Remember, one of their choices for the Goblin King was Michael Jackson.
Oh!
Imagine Michael Jackson was in that movie. Nobody would be able to ever watch that movie or talk about that movie ever again. But of course, I've got my own opinions about the whole Michael Jackson thing too.
He wouldn't have been able to have rocked out those pants like Bowie did.
No. But imagine in a...
There was a moment of silence on that one too. I mean, seriously, like try to imagine Michael Jackson dressed up as Jareth with those pants. Bowie filled out those pants just perfectly. You can't perfect perfection when it comes to those pants. Put Michael Jackson in those pants. Wah wah.
Yeah.
No. So I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
That he wasn't involved in that movie.
Yeah.
I would have so many catty things that I could say, but I don't feel like saying them on this podcast.
Yeah. Let's
moving on.
Trying to think if there's any last minute things about Bowie. Just to bring it up, like touching on, because we were also watching funny videos last night pertaining to David Bowie, and I had already mentioned the show Flight of the Conchords. Definitely look it up. Extras. Yes. If you've never watched that show, Extras.
Let's talk for a second about how we think that it's awesome that Ricky Gervais and David Bowie were good, close friends.
Yeah.
I think that that's amazing.
And, let's even talk about that. Because one thing that I've noticed is that David Bowie loves to surround himself with attractive people. And let me clarify on that. Ricky Gervais, if you've never seen a photo of what he looked like back in his 20s when he was a young man, Ricky Gervais was like, looked like he could have been a model. Like he looked like
he should have been a member of Duran Duran.
Like, if you've never seen, if you're listening to this, if you've never seen a photo of Ricky Gervais when he was like young, like there's like they're like black and white photos circulating around. Like he was a handsome dude. And again, like Bowie was good friends with, going back to Batman, Commissioner Gordon.
Why are we having a moment here?
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, another one of my celeb crushes.
Yeah, Gary Oldman was a huge heartthrob back when he was younger too, and they were close friends too.
That's a movie that I've always wanted to see, and I haven't gotten around to. The one where he played Sid Vicious.
Yeah. Was it Sid and Nancy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that one too.
You know what I heard before? Was that before he did that part, when they offered that part to him, he either had no idea who Sid Vicious was or had no idea about their music. It was one or the other. He had absolutely no clue.
I think he hated doing the movie too.
Well, for not having seen it, but at least seen like movie stills and like how he, looked. He totally fucking looked like Sid Vicious. Yeah. They picked a good actor to portray him.
Yeah.
But
Gary Oldman. Can we talk about Gary Oldman for a moment?
Oh, we certainly can, babe.
One word, just to drop the mic. Dracula. honestly, I think over time, I think that movie holds up even more because it's just such a fucking visually weird movie, and I even like looking at it and I've seen comparisons. I think it's one of the most I mean, with the exception of like the inner romance thing kind of like underlined, but like I think it's one of the most faithful adaptations to the actual book.
Okay.
Like with some minor exceptions, like even the fact that he doesn't have a mustache because like Dracula had a mustache in the book.
Really?
But yeah, but I mean even like the three women eating the baby, like that's in the book. How he dies, like how Quincy's the one that gives the final blow. Spoiler alert! I'm spoiling Dracula.
If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't, at this point in your life, seen Gary Oldman's Dracula, you've been living under a rock. So get out from under that rock and go watch it.
But
it's awesome.
But yeah, like Quincy stabbing Dracula in the heart and then Quincy dying. I mean, all that is in the book.
Yeah.
But again, just like visually, like Dracula in his bat form, Dracula in his wolf form, just like the movie is visually stunning.
Can we also talk about how amazing Keanu Reeves was in that?
You know what?
Sorry, Keanu. He knows it. We all know it. But you know what? Hey, it goes down in Hollywood history.
Wait.
It's okay.
I know where the bastard sleeps.
Sorry, Keanu.
Or
we love you.
He's grown young. But you know what? It works, and I understand why they picked him for it, because they wanted somebody that seemed innocent and naive. And let's face it.
Yeah.
If you want somebody innocent and naive, you're going to get Ted Theodore Logan.
Yeah.
So, like, it definitely worked on that level, like, picking him, because he wanted somebody, oh, hello there, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
He just makes me happy.
Oh, Keanu,
Yeah, Keanu was alright in my book. He could be in the most craptastic film, and he would still make it worthwhile watching.
Yeah, I love that article that I found on him once. It said Keanu Reeves has never said that he was a good actor, and that's why we love him so much. Mm-hmm. And
I almost feel that, like, similar to Bowie, that Keanu doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like like if there's certain things that happen or certain things that are implied or whatever, Keanu doesn't count.
I think. And this is another thing I remember hearing about David Bowie, like in an article somewhere, like a statement. It's like David Bowie made his peace with fame. Because I've always I like to bring up that quote by Marlon Brando that it's like, oh, I got famous one day, and then next thing you know, I was sitting on an endless pile of candy. Because again, when you become a celebrity, it's like
everything is at your fingertips,
and it's like drugs and women, men,
whatever
and boys,
you want. And girls, whatever you want,
and
they'll get for you.
And it's like, what does that do to a person? I do think that despite like Bowie having a drug problem and obviously getting into whatever shenanigans he did like in his youth, like him like outgrowing that and getting past that, I think making his peace with it. It's like, okay, this is the game, this is what it is, but I can find my happiness within it. Like I think Keanu definitely has that too, where it's like he's not letting the fact that he's Ted Theodore Logan, Neo, John Wick, he being in Point Break, being in Speed, like letting that get to his head and letting him get impacted that way. Like he's held on to like a certain like humbleness, like he'll like those photos, like he'll still ride the subway and I think that's great.
Maybe it's stuff like that keeps a person grounded.
Yeah, he's grounded. Like Johnny Depp, say whatever you want about your opinions on like everything that's gone on with him. Like I would not say that Johnny Depp is grounded, And again, I don't think. And again, we'll never know for sure, but it's like all that stuff that happened.
Yeah, emotionally, like anyway. Go on with what you were going to say. I totally farted out. Sorry.
Just like Johnny Depp is definitely somebody who became famous at a very early age, and I think was negatively impacted by like basically an entire culture saying that he was a heartthrob, that he was gorgeous. It's
Maybe,
like, oh my
yeah.
God, you're so beautiful, you're a big star, you're amazing at such a young age,
Maybe
and
what I
was
was
impacted
Maybe
negatively.
what I was trying to say before was that like everybody's emotional levels are different and how everybody's coping mechanisms are different. No, you could take, say, for example, you and me, and my emotional levels can be different from yours, and maybe your coping mechanisms with fame, you would be able to cope differently than, say, I would. And that's purely an example. Maybe it would be opposite. Or maybe we would both cope with it perfectly fine. But just maybe over time, just how much or how accessible things are to you and how much on a pedestal a person is put. Sorry, listeners. It's one of those mornings.
That was a good one.
Thank you. That's from some of the peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I told you, like I ate some of those peanuts in the trail mix this morning, and peanuts just really don't set well with me anymore. And it sucks because I love them. Ugh. That's one thing about, like, say, quote unquote, getting older, is that I've noted that certain things I've been able to eat in the past, I really can't eat so much anymore. And peanuts is one of them. I can eat Reese's cups, no problem, and even peanut butter to some degree. But, like, give me a canister of cocktail peanuts, I will eat them, and then I will regret it later because it's hard for me to digest them properly now.
Yeah.
And even, like, potato chips. You know I love my potato chips, but they don't really, like, set well with me that much anymore.
Well, I mean, part of it is, I mean, we're trying to be better with things and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, me even eating, like, rice and noodles and stuff like that, like, I feel like shit after, so.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
No, if we feel like shit about it, then we're going to stay away from eating it. So it's a win-win, you know? I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But anywho, I didn't need to. Well, we were talking about Johnny Depp and coping with fame and how people react to it differently.
Yeah. I definitely think he made his peace with it.
Who, Keanu or Johnny?
Well, both.
Okay.
But, you know.
But
like,
in their own ways.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all I can say about that. Coming back to David Bowie doesn't count, though. Another thing that comes to mind, because when we were watching the video, we had the captions on and listening to lyrics, and Ashes to Ashes, and there was that one line about a certain type of girl beginning with the letter J and rhyming with map.
With WAP. How about if it rhymes with WAP?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, he just said that, but you know what?
It was a product of its time.
David Bowie doesn't count.
Exactly. With that said, can you pause it again for a second, please?
Yep. We'll be right back. All right. And we are back, but honestly, it is that time because we've got some stuff to do today. Before we go, in the spirit of David Bowie, throw in a little impression for you because, you know, turn back, Sarah. Turn back before it's too late. Prince of the land of stench. No, that sucks. All right, never mind. All right, fuck it, whatever. It's a podcast. All right.
It'll be okay.
But yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Normally I do it good. Or my mom thinks it's good.
My dad's mayor.
My dad's mayor. I love my mayor. All right.
It was still a fun episode. We kind of went all over the place per usual, but we tried to stay on track with Bowie. And Bowie, if you're somewhere out there floating around listening, I hope that we did you right by talking about you in this episode. We love you.
He's in space.
He is.
Yeah. David Bowie's in space. All right. There we go. All right. Have a great weekend. See you next time, and maybe we will do something else next time.
I already have an idea for next week's episode.
All right. Don't spoil it.
No, we'll keep you all in suspense now.
All right.
You heard?
All right.
Have a good week, everyone. Been fun. Catch you on the flip side.
Toodaloo, party people. I don't know. All right. Bye-bye.